The gavel came down once, resonating in the room like a clap of thunder. Cameras flashed, pens scribbled, and whispers filled the courtroom as the Brown family, once bound by religion and love, sat divided by silence. Christine sat at the plaintiff's table, her hand shaking ever so slightly as she smoothed out her papers. Her expression was serene, but one could tell otherwise by her eyes. Years of fatigue, betrayal, and inner fortitude. Seated across from her was Kody, with his attorney on one side, and Robin, who was a picture of contained hysteria. Janelle sat farther back, wondering which team she was on. Mary, ever the silent one, had her eyes cast downward, holding a tissue that had already been moistened. The judge glanced up. This case, Brown versus Brown, is about the division of shared property, arrangements for children, and allegations of coercion in a plural marriage. A hum ran through the court. Cameras closed in, reporters pecked at their keyboards more hastily. But to Christine, it wasn't about money or possessions. It was about her voice, about being heard at last. She breathed deeply as her lawyer rose to his feet. Your Honor, this is more than a divorce case. It's a tale of control, emotional abandonment, and the failure of a family founded on promises never meant to be kept. Kody's jaw clenched. He huddled closer to his lawyer, speaking in a fierce whisper. The crowd observed each tense movement, every heavy breath. For years, people had watched their smiles on television, the family meals, the laughter, the conversation of love and togetherness. But no one witnessed what occurred when the cameras stopped rolling. Christine's attorney went on, her voice calm but adamant. My client lived by rules she never consented to, in a home where love was conditional and allegiance was exacted without reciprocation. When she at last selected freedom, she was branded a betrayer. Kody couldn't keep quiet. That isn't true, he exclaimed, rising to his feet. I sacrificed everything for this family. I held them together. The judge raised a hand. Mr. Brown, you'll have your turn. The tension was electric. Every eye was on Christine now. She looked at Kody, the man she once believed in, and whispered, Together doesn't mean happy, Kody. It just means trapped. The courtroom shifted again as Christine's first witness took the stand, Janelle. She walked slowly, her expression torn. Kody's eyes softened when she passed him, but she didn't look back. Janelle, Christine's attorney started, you've been acquainted with both parties for more than 25 years, right? Yes, Janelle said softly. We were family. What was the mood like in the household the past few years? Janelle paused. It became tense. It changed when Christine began questioning the rules. She wasn't content, and Kody wasn't fond of being challenged. Kody's attorney protested, but the judge ruled over it. Can you explain what you mean by rules? Expectations, how we dressed, the way we spoke, even the way we smiled for the cameras. Everything had to do with keeping up appearances. The courtroom went silent once more. Robin hung her head, looking shaken. Christine fought back tears. The look in her eyes wasn't only due to a failed marriage, it was due to all those years she'd put on a happy face for the world to see. As Janelle went on, the cracks in the family facade grew larger. Christine just wanted peace, she whispered. She wanted her children to grow up believing in love, not fear. Kody shifted restlessly. His attorney rose to cross-examine. Mrs. Brown, can you say that your opinion would be biased due to your relationship of friendship with the plaintiff? Janelle's response was blunt but pointed. If being truthful would make me biased, then I suppose I am. A shiver of soft gas went through the courtroom. Christine's heart thudded as Janelle took her seat. That was something she'd never forget, seeing her former co-wife defend her. Next, the judge requested a brief recess. Cameras trailed the Browns out into the hallway, reporters clustered, questions streaming. Christine brushed them all aside and walked directly to the bench outside. Shaking, she whispered, I didn't think it would hurt this much. Robin moved cautiously, her tone soft. Christine, you didn't have to do this publicly. Christine glanced up, her eyes shining. You believe I wanted to? You believe I wanted the world to witness our family disintegrate? This isn't for show, Robin. This is for truth. Robin's mouth flew open, then closed. For the first time, she hesitated, torn between her devotion to Kody and her compassion for Christine. Back in chambers, Kody sat alone for a minute, gazing at his hands. His mind ran through flashbacks, late-night conversations, vows made, laughter. He thought he had the reins of his world. Now his world was called to testify against him. The bailiff brought everyone back in. The hearing resumed. Christine's attorney produced text messages, emails, and vintage clips from the family show, moments in which Kody's affection was decreasing and his favoritism towards Robin increased. The audience buzzed as the evidence rolled across the screen. Kody's expression turned cold, Robin clutched his arm, and Christine could hardly bear to watch. "Your Honor," her lawyer said softly, "these aren't just scenes from television. This was her life. Every smile was rehearsed, every tear unseen. She lived in a home where love was rationed like oxygen." Kody slammed his hand on the table. "You're twisting everything!" The judge warned him again. Christine finally stood, voice trembling but clear. "I'm not twisting anything. I'm just tired of pretending that pain is love." A hush fell over the courtroom. Even Kody for a moment seemed to lose his words. The judge called for closing remarks for the day. As everyone gathered their papers, Christine turned toward Kody and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll tell them everything." Kody froze. Robin's hand slipped from his. The scene ended with the judge's gavel striking once more. Court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Christine exited first, her head held high against the threats of tears. Cameras snapped, microphones were thrust, reporters yelled, but she couldn't hear anything over her own heartbeat and the distant whisper of her own words. "I just want peace." As the screen goes black, the narrator's voice comes back, steady but unflinching. The courthouse was abuzz like a beehive the next morning. Journalists lined the entrance, flashes lit up the air, and rumors spread like wildfire. Christine was going to spill it all today. In court, tension hung like smoke in the air. The judge himself seemed to feel it as he removed his glasses and looked over the family. Christine sat straight, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Today, she wasn't just a wife seeking justice. She was a woman standing against years of silence. Kody, across the aisle, looked exhausted but defiant. His lawyer whispered strategy, but his mind wasn't on the case anymore. It was on Christine's words from yesterday. "Tomorrow, I'll tell them everything." The bailiff's voice boomed. "Court is now in session." Christine's attorney stood. "Your Honor, today we call Christine Brown to the stand." Eyes were on her. The click of her heels against the shiny floor seemed like a yell. Taking the oath, her voice did not quiver. It was firm, almost unnervingly calm. "Mrs. Brown," her attorney started gently, "you promised that you would tell the court what happened in your house. Tell the court in your own words what brought you here today." Christine lowered her gaze for an instant, collecting herself. Then she spoke. Initially, it was love. Or at least, it appeared to be love. We felt like we were part of something greater than ourselves. A family that could demonstrate that love is never ending. Somewhere along the line, though, that love began to feel like a cage. Kody's head jerked upright, his eyes fixed on hers. Christine went on. "I lost being a wife. I became an actress. Every smile, every supper, every scene on that show wasn't for us. It was for the image. And when I began to wonder why I was the only one who felt empty, I was told to pray more, to be thankful." The lawyer inquired, "Who said that to you?" Christine paused, her voice cracking slightly. "Kody did." Gasps filled the courtroom. Robin's hand flew to her mouth. Mary stared down, eyes shining. Kody stood bolt upright. "I never forced you." The judge interrupted harshly. "Mr. Brown, one more interruption, and I'll hold you in contempt." Kody dropped back into his seat, face flushed, gasping for air. Christine spun around to the judge. "I don't hate him. I really don't. I just can't keep putting on this fake act like everything was fine when it wasn't." Her attorney nodded. "Christine, did you ever attempt to leave previously?" "Yes," she whispered. "Twice. But each time I attempted it, something held me back. Fear, guilt, or the fear that God would be saddened if I betrayed our covenant. But then I realized God doesn't want anyone to live in chains." The courtroom fell silent once more. For the first time, Kody remained silent. His expression relaxed, as if remembering those words brought a memory of a different era, a time in which Christine's laughter filled the house. The attorney continued. "Mrs. Brown, could you tell us about the final straw? What was it that finally led you to leave?" Christine nodded gravely. "It was Robin's anniversary night. I had prepared dinner for all of them, even though I wasn't invited to their special celebration later. My daughter had asked me, 'Mom, why do you smile when you're sad?' And with that, I was broken. Her voice broke, tears finally falling. I knew she was learning from me how to be quiet, how to conceal pain, and I couldn't let her grow up believing that's what love is. Kody's jaw clenched, eyes brimming with tears. He turned away. The audience leaned in. Because agony this raw doesn't require a lens to be real. Christine's attorney addressed the judge. No further questions. Kody's lawyer rose, his voice crisp but measured. Mrs. Brown, isn't it the case that you knowingly entered into this plural relationship for more than 25 years? Yes, she responded firmly, but involvement does not mean that I wasn't suffering. He prodded again. And isn't it also the case that you benefited financially from the family's show business success? Christine sighed. I earned them. Each dollar cost me a tear, toil, and silence. Kody winced. The courtroom vibrated with tension. Then the attorney made a blunder. Mrs. Brown, you speak of emotional neglect, but isn't it true that you just wanted more attention than the others? The air went cold. Christine turned to him, face changing from hurt to steel. I didn't want attention. I wanted respect. Even the judge hesitated before proceeding. Kody's attorney attempted to regain his footing, riffing through papers. No further questions. Christine stepped down, her heart pounding, her body trembling, but her spirit steady. As she passed Kody, their eyes met. For a second, the years between them flickered in silence. She whispered, "You could have stopped all this by listening." Kody didn't reply. He couldn't. The next witness was Robin. She looked nervous, twisting her wedding ring as she sat. Kody tried to give her a reassuring nod, but she didn't look at him. Mrs. Brown, Christine's attorney started slowly. You were sometimes described as the peacemaker. Do you think that's true? Robin hesitated. I attempted to be, but I failed sometimes. Did you ever see Christine have her feelings minimized? Robin swallowed hard. Yes, more than once. The crowd murmured. Christine stared at her, half in shock. Robin went on. I didn't know how to make it stop. I figured keeping quiet would preserve the peace, but it just made things worse. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't want the family to fall apart because of me. But by staying quiet, perhaps I already was. Kody was shattered. Christine's eyes melted. Thanks, she breathed quietly. The judge adjourned for a break, but no one stirred. The heavy burden of it all hung heavy in the air. Reporters murmured into cameras, headlines already being written. Kody sat in solitude, rubbing his hair in frustration, eyes lost somewhere in the past. His attorney leaned in, saying quietly, "We can still make it right." But Kody didn't react. For the first time, he was uncertain about the case, about himself, about the love he'd believed he could control. Christine stood at the window, the rain beginning to fall outside. Every drop on the glass resembled a memory slipping away, years of sacrifice, tears, and unspoken words. The narrator's voice returns, quiet and contemplative. Love created this family. Pride constructed the walls that enclosed them, and now, with each witness, those walls begin to weaken. The judge's gavel came down again. Court tomorrow morning. As they all made their way out, Christine caught one last look at Kody. For a moment, he seemed almost like the man she used to love, the man who vowed forever. But forever, she understood, was never supposed to ache this much. And when the door shut behind her, the cameras took one last picture. Christine stepping into the rain, finally free after all these years, and Kody remaining looking at the vacant chair she occupied. New witnesses will be testifying tomorrow, and one of them carries a secret that might upend the entire case. Whose truth do you think thus far? Christine's hurt or love being defended by Kody? Comment your thoughts below. It hadn't even passed when the Browns were back in court the following morning. Gray clouds hung over the courthouse and puddles glimmered under the feet of the reporters. Inside, the air was denser than ever. Everyone sensed it. Today would turn everything around. Christine entered first, her expression serene but keen. She hadn't slept much, last night's testimonies rushing through her mind. Robin's words had melted something in her heart, but Kody's silence pierced her. He hadn't called her since court recessed. No calls, no messages, only space, bitter, expansive, definitive. Kody came in a few minutes later, ramrod straight and guarded. His suit was immaculate, his hair slicked back, but his face, it was drawn. There was something new in his eyes today, something raw. Maybe he knew the case was getting away from him. Or maybe he was gearing up for fighting harder than ever before. The judge scanned the file in front of him. Today, the court will hear about the internal arrangements of the family and emotional well-being. Mr. Brown, the court will hear from your witness first. Kody's attorney rose to his feet. Your Honor, the defense calls Mary Brown. A soft gasp rippled through the room. Christine blinked in shock. Robin's head jerked towards Kody, and Janelle's frown deepened. Mary rose slowly, her hands trembling as she made her way to the witness stand. She had been the quiet one, the loyal one, for years. No one anticipated that she would testify against anyone. Mrs. Brown, Kody's attorney started, you've been in this family the longest. What would you say about the dynamic between Christine and my client? Mary's voice shook at first. They were complicated. Christine always needed more affection than Kody was able to give, and when she didn't receive it, she shut down. Christine's face went cold. Her attorney whispered, calm down. Kody's attorney nodded. Would you say that Christine created division within the family? Mary hesitated, glancing back and forth between Kody and Christine. Perhaps not deliberately, but yes, I feel like what she did hurt all of us. The courtroom murmured. Christine felt her own throat constrict. Of all the people she hadn't thought Mary would do this to her, her friend, her sister wife. Then Mary went on, her voice low, but she swallowed, her throat working hard. She wasn't alone in suffering. We all suffered. We were instructed to smile, even when we were shattering within. Kody's eyes opened wide. His lawyer bristled. Mrs. Brown, please explain. Mary smoothed out. We were in fear of disappointing him. Every argument was threatening the image we had created. We were wives, but also actresses, and the performance was draining. The courtroom fell silent. Christine took a shaky breath, her eyes welling up. Kody clenched his jaw and closed his eyes. Mary went on in a soft voice. I don't hate Kody, but I can't keep pretending that it was all equal. He gave slices of himself to all of us, but Robin always got the entire heart. Robin stared in shock. Mary, she tried to say, but the judge held up a hand. Mary's voice broke. I stayed for loyalty. Christine left for peace. Maybe she was the brave one. When she stepped down, no one spoke. The silence in that courtroom was heavier than any gavel strike. Christine wanted to reach out to thank her, but Mary just walked past her quietly and sat down. Her tears said everything. Kody looked shattered, but also furious. He leaned close to his lawyer. We're not done, he muttered. The next witness was unexpected. Christine's lawyer rose. Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Gabriel Brown, the son of Christine and Kody. The crowd shifted, the courtroom doors opened, and in stepped Gabriel, a young adult in his early 20s. His shoulders squared, his face ashen but resolute. He nodded to his mother, who managed a small, encouraging smile. Mr. Brown, Christine's attorney started out. Can you describe the experience of living with the Browns to the court? Gabriel gazed down for an instant before continuing. I believed our family was perfect. Big, loving, happy. But growing up, I saw things that I wasn't supposed to see. The arguments, the icy glances, how Mom wept when Dad didn't return. Kody's eyes became thin. That's enough, he growled. Gabriel went on. We were instructed to be quiet, to guard the family reputation. I adored my dad, I still do, but he changed. He wasn't the same man who would take us camping or explain faith to us. He grew cold, angry. Kody banged his fist on the table. You don't know what it means to preside over a family. The gavel came down. Mr. Brown, you're out of line. One more interruption and I'll clear the room. Kody sat back, panting, eyes black. Gabriel stared at him. Dad, I am not your enemy. I just wish Mom would be happy again. Christine was quietly sobbing now. She had done her best to shield her children from this agony, but it was too late. The truth had finally emerged. Gabriel stepped down. As he walked by his father, he whispered, You can't fix what you refuse to see. Kody didn't respond. His hands were shaking. The judge requested a short recess. Reporters outbursted outside, detailing every emotional turn. Inside, Christine sat silently, gazing at her hands. Robin crept up to her. Christine, she said gently, I never knew how much you were keeping inside. Christine raised her eyes, her voice weak. None of us did, Robin. We were too busy pretending. The bailiff rapped the gavel for silence. The most volatile segment would come next. Bank accounts, emails, and personal letters would be exposed. Proof that would either convict Kody of manipulation or exonerate him. Christine's attorney started. Your Honor, we have a series of letters that Mr. Brown exchanged with the production company. Through them, he negotiated away things that kept the other wives from being involved in key decision-making and compensation talks. The defense protested, but the judge let her proceed. The documents were projected on a screen. The courtroom gasped as they noticed the signatures. Kody's name was signed on every page. Christine's attorney directed herself towards him. Mr. Brown, would you care to tell us why your co-wives were not made aware of these deals? Kody's face was red. I did what I had to do. Someone had to run the business. Christine's voice sliced through, cold and unforgiving. You ran it by shutting us out. We trusted you. He swung around toward her, anger giving way to hurt. You left us. Left me, her voice belted, because you already left years and years ago before I ever did. The courtroom exploded, reporters writing furiously, onlookers muttering, the judge banging his gavel. Christine's hand shook, her voice cracking. You emotionally left me years ago, Kody. I just finally made it legal. The judge at last brought down his gavel. Court adjourned until tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will hear closing statements. They all stood up slowly. Kody sat for a long time, looking at nothing. The burden of years weighed on his shoulders. Christine glanced around once, tears shining, but didn't say anything. Outside, the crowd was more vocal than ever. Reporters shouting out her name, fans waving signs, reading Team Christine and Justice for the Sister Wives. Christine didn't reply. She strode to her car in silence, her voice shaking as she mouthed to herself, one more day. Just one more. The narrator's voice drops in. Tomorrow, the arguments will conclude. Love, betrayal, faith, and freedom all will come crashing down in one final confrontation. But regardless of the verdict, the family who once shared everything will never be the same again. The courthouse felt colder than ever that morning, though the sun was streaming through the high windows. The tension in the room was palpable, thick enough to choke anyone who entered. Today, the evidence would be laid bare. Today, secrets that had been buried for decades would finally see the light. Christine arrived early, notebook clutched to her chest. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. Yesterday's depositions had rocked the family to its core, and today was bound to dig even deeper. On the opposite side of the aisle, Kody's jaw was clenched, his hands folded together so tightly that his knuckles glowed white. Robin refused to meet Christine's gaze, although her eyes betrayed a flash of doubt and remorse. Janelle squirmed uncomfortably in her chair while Mary kept silent, her fingers knotting together in her lap. The judge rapped his gavel. This afternoon, we will hear the review of evidence and witness testimony related to the family's private correspondence and interactions that have had a bearing on the well-being of the children. Mr. Brown, you may present your first witness. Kody's attorney stood up and requested one of the production coordinators for the reality show. A young woman with a clipboard in her hand approached the stand, her face set. Please speak your name for the court, the attorney requested. Anna Thompson, she responded. Ms. Thompson, you produced the family's TV shows for many years. Is that right? Yes, she responded. Did you notice any conflicts among the family members on set? Anna swallowed. Yes. There were moments when Christine looked visibly unhappy, and it wasn't just for show. Kody would direct some things to make the family appear happy, but Christine, she was distant, nearly trapped. Christine's gaze caught Anna's for a moment. A flash of understanding passed between them. Someone who had seen the tension without stepping in. Did you ever see Kody treat any one wife differently? Kody's attorney inquired, tone measured carefully. Yes, Anna conceded. Robin frequently received special treatment on the set, more screen time, solo interviews, even bonuses that the others were not receiving. The room grumbled. Kody shifted in his seat, jaw hardening. Robin's mouth snapped to her lips. She hadn't anticipated this testimony. Anna spoke on. I never intended to hurt anyone. I just said what I saw. Christine usually remained silent, but I saw that she hurt. She was not being heard by anyone at home or on set. The judge slowly nodded, allowing the words to settle on the courtroom like a dark curtain. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. You are excused. Christine's attorney stood. Your Honor, We would like to use several text message exchanges and emails between Kody and the production company as evidence. The courtroom gasped as the screens flashed into conversation. The messages showed Kody talking about shooting schedules, approvals, and money choices while going out of his way to keep the other wives in the dark. Christine's attorney pointed to sections where Kody complained about Christine challenging rules, saying that it could affect filming and her cooperation for the show. Kody blushed. He resembled a man looking at himself from the outside, an outsider in the court of his own life. "Mr. Brown, could you tell me why these messages were never discussed with your other wives?" asked the lawyer sternly. Kody gulped. I was trying to do everything in an efficient manner. I didn't want mess or errors in front of the cameras. Christine's voice rose, firm but shrill. "You didn't want confusion? Or did you just want control?" The courtroom fell silent. Even the reporters seemed to catch their breath. Next, Christine's attorney called Janelle to testify. She had been reluctant, torn between duty and honesty, but now she stood before the court with quiet bravery. "Mrs. Brown," Christine's lawyer began gently, "you've lived in this family for decades. Were there times when Christine was silenced or dismissed?" Janelle breathed deep. "Yes, more than I can count. We all attempted to maintain the peace. We all smiled on cue. But I could see the pain in Christine's eyes whenever she was corrected or ignored, and I blame myself for not speaking out sooner." Robin's eyes dropped, tears threatening to fall. Kody's fists gripped the table tightly. The mood of the room thickened with each spoken sentence. "Give some examples?" the attorney asked. There were evenings when Christine attempted to schedule family gatherings to establish traditions, and Kody would shoot them down. He said it was for family harmony, but actually it was so he could control. She was always the one who had to accommodate, who had to bend, while others received their wishes. Christine's hand shook, but her expression was unyielding. The confirmation was bitter, hurtful, yet unavoidable. Next, the last bit of proof was brought forth. An intimate journal Christine had maintained for years. Pages filled with her musings, anxieties, and insights regarding the family dynamics. The attorney read from it aloud a passage. "I feel invisible. I say something, and it's like my words get devoured by the walls in this house. They notice me, but they don't hear me. I am a wife, a mom, an artist, but never me." The courtroom fell silent. Some onlookers dabbed their eyes. Kody let his head fall into his hands, his jaw so tightly clenched it hurt. Robin cried softly into a tissue. The judge's gavel came down. "We will take our lunch recess. Court will reconvene this afternoon with closing arguments." During recess, rumors spread. Journalists wondered how this testimony could tip the final decision. Kody sat in the corner, said nothing, glancing over his notes nervously. Robin stood at a slight distance from him, looking ashen. Christine was still calm, but her hands trembled slightly as she took water. When court resumed, Christine's attorney stood up to deliver her closing statement. "Your Honor, members of the jury, this case is not about money. It is not about reputation. It is about the heart and soul of family, trust, respect, and love. Christine lived for a system that did not allow her a voice. She did it for an image, appearances, for what she thought was love. She is here today not to destroy, but to take back what was always her own: dignity, freedom, and truth." The courtroom listened with bated breath. Kody's attorney replied, but his words rang hollow, apologetic. The momentum shifted. Before he could adjourn, the judge declared, "Court will resume tomorrow for the last testimonies and verdict. All parties are instructed to be back on time." Christine stepped out slowly, her chest constricted with fear and anticipation. Outside, the wind howled, making the courthouse windows rattle. Each step weighed more than the last, but it felt lighter in the heart. She had told the truth, laid out the secret cracks, and no one could ever take that from her. Final chapter tomorrow. Lives would be altered, loyalties would be tested, and one family would never look at each other in the same way again. If you were in that courtroom, listening to Christine's words, would you be on her side or attempting to defend Kody? Let me know in the comments below. The courthouse was packed when Christine and Kody arrived for what all the world knew would be the last session. Tension clung to the walls like a fog. All cameras were pointed, every note poised, every eye keen with anticipation. Today, the deeply buried secrets, betrayals, and emotions of decades would come to their climax. Christine sat down first, sitting straight with a blend of serenity and resolve. Her notebook lay in her lap, fingers knotted together over it. This was not another day in court. It was the day that could finally grant her the life she had dreamed of. Opposite her, Kody's face was grim, pale, and exhausted. Robin sat by his side, a silent, devoted shadow, though a flicker of doubt briefly danced in her eyes. Janelle and Mary sat farther back, their faces guarded, inscrutable, but full of anticipation. The judge struck the gavel. We will proceed with the final session, including testimony from remaining witnesses and closing arguments. Kody's attorney called his first witness, a financial advisor who had worked with the family for decades. She made her way to the stand unflappably. "Please give your name for the record," the attorney said. "Linda Harris," she answered. "Ms. Harris, you oversaw the financial management of the family's properties, is that right?" "Yes." "Were there times when Mrs. Brown was deliberately left out of major financial decisions?" Linda hesitated, carefully selecting her words. "Yes, there were several times when Christine was not consulted about important decisions on property investments and TV contracts. She would find out only after the decisions were made." Christine's eyes narrowed slightly. She had known this, but hearing it confirmed in the sterile public space of the courtroom gave her a strange mix of vindication and sorrow. Kody shifted uncomfortably, jaw tight, but did not interrupt. "Was this done intentionally by Mr. Brown?" Christine's lawyer asked. Linda hesitated. "From my perspective, yes. It appeared that decisions were made without transparency, favoring other parties in the household." A whispered rumor circulated in the courtroom. Robin lowered her eyes, Mary clutched her purse, and Janelle scrunched up her forehead. The final witness was Christine herself. Her attorney nodded reassuringly as she walked to the stand. She placed her right hand on the Bible, repeating the oath steadily, and started her last testimony. "Your Honor, this case is not simply about money or property. It's about the emotional well-being of the family and the broken promise of trust. I lived in a home for years where my views were ignored, my emotions disregarded, and my attempts at creating harmony discounted. I loved my family. I wanted to remain. But love is not supposed to smother. It's not supposed to stifle you." The courtroom was quiet. Kody's fists bunched up on the table. Robin's eyes welled with tears. Christine went on, her words shaking but unyielding. "I am not here to vilify my co-wives. They have their own life, their own history, but the manner in which Kody dictated this family, the manner in which he determined who was heard and who was silenced, was unacceptable. I tolerated it for peace, for the sake of the children, but peace established upon fear is no peace." Her attorney walked her through her closing arguments gently, pulling out anecdotes of quiet moments, nights she had cried in her bedroom while everyone else laughed, holidays she had planned that were dismissed, kisses from Kody that were brief and conditional. Kody's defense mounted, trying to counter. "Your Honor, Mrs. Brown willingly participated in this plural marriage. She knew the dynamics, she agreed to the rules, and profited by them financially and socially. Her complaints are exaggerated." Christine took a breath. "Exaggerated?" she whispered so that only Kody would hear. "Try living it. Attempt to suppress your suffering so that your kids won't witness your heart breaking." The last witness to testify was Gabriel, their eldest son. He walked forward, looking older, calmer than the fidgety young man who had testified before him. "I've grown up seeing both of my parents struggle to cope with love and domination. I love my father, but I cannot deny my mother's suffering. I'm here to help her take back her life, not to condemn him, but to demonstrate that truth is more important than appearances." Kody paled. Robin was holding onto his arm for dear life, but even her support seemed in doubt now. The courtroom was silent as Christine's attorney moved forward, holding the final exhibit, a series of letters Christine had penned throughout the years, each detailing instances of manipulation, favoritism, and control. Each letter was read, each line landing harder than the previous. The judge leaned forward, intently listening. This court has heard testimony, examined evidence, and taken into account the emotional toll on everyone involved. Christine slowly breathed out, relief sweeping over her even as her chest constricted with tension. Kody's fingers were firmly interlocked, and for the first time he appeared vulnerable, almost human, beneath the public facade of command and control. The gavel came down. This court finds that the emotional neglect and disparate treatment alleged by Mrs. Christine Brown are warranted. Custody will lean towards the welfare of the children, and the asset division will be examined to prioritize fairness and transparency. A wave of silence swept the room. Then slowly the whispers began. Reporters scrambled for quotes. Cameras flashed. Christine sat still, letting the moment sink in. She had fought for justice, for truth, and for the voice she had long been denied. Kody lowered his head, shoulders slumping. Robin reached for his hand, but he didn't take it. Janelle exhaled deeply, and Mary's lips trembled. Everyone got it. The family would never be the same. Outside the courthouse, Christine emerged into sunlight. Rain scent filled the air. Cameras popped, questions bellowed, but she was hardly aware. Her mind was on the life to come. A life not delineated by the strictures of a plural marriage or the domination of a man who could not perceive her, but by her own decisions, her own liberty. The narrator spoke in gentle, thoughtful, yet resolute tone. This is the end of a chapter, but not the end of the story. Love and loyalty are messy, and sometimes the strongest fights take place within the walls we call home. Christine fought, she spoke, and she won. Not just a court victory, but the right to be heard and understood. Christine glanced back once to catch Kody's eye, their gazes meeting for an instant. There were no words spoken. No apologies made, only acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that there is such a thing as love, though it cannot last.